What's up, SDB? Got a drink this week. It's going to be a tough one. So I'm playing Tib. It's week 5. Last week I unfortunately lost to Chad. So I'm sitting at 2-2 plus 1, and if we look over the standings, I am just outside of playoff contention. Now, I still got a couple matches where I can pull things back. We're going to play Pula, Riker, Tib, and then Bombi. And then I have an off week too. So with some good weeks, I can get that 2-2 up. I think everyone in our division has a couple losses. Some people only have one, but they've had a bye week. I think probably realistically 3 losses is going to be enough to make it through. So for the rest of the season, I need to go. What would that put me at? 3 wins, 1 loss, I think can get me through. So this week's really important. Tib has only won one of the 4 matches that he's played, but he has a really good team. So it's going to be big for me to win this one and try and win decisively to get my differential up. Because a lot of the matches in our division, I'm really one of the only people who's had pretty normal matches in terms of differential. A lot of other people have jumped up. Akana just won his match, I think 4-0, so his differential is going to be really high too, and it's going to make people in the division hard to catch unless I just beat them on record. So want to try to pad my differential, want to try to win, of course. And I have a couple ideas going in for how I'm going to do it. So looking at Tib's team, there's a couple offensive threats that I'm keeping in mind, and then there's a couple defensive cores that I'm going to try to need to break through. So to write out some thoughts. So first off, Zero Aura. It's got the option of running physical or special. If it's running physical, then it could be a bulk up kind of set. If it's running special, it could be choice scarf, choice specs, that sort of idea. I think that Zero Aura in this matchup is a lot more likely to be special because of Grass Knot. It could be, I guess it could be a mixed set too, but I think that's less likely than it being special. When I was looking at Zero Aura on my team, kind of my main thought was, I have a Hippowdon. It's one of my 2 grass types. What can Zero Aura do to threaten Hippowdon? Physically, not too much, but if it's a special set with Grass Knot, let me see if that's even on here. Not really, so let's just call it 252 10 Grass Knot. It's doing a lot of damage to Hippowdon. This is probably fully special Hippowdon, yep, so it's 2 KOing Hippowdon. I didn't get damage back, but it means that if Tib brings a special Zero Aura with Grass Knot and he reads the Hippowdon switch, that means I no longer check it. So if I'm Tib, I'm bringing Zero Aura. Its speed tier is great. That speeds everything on my team. 423 speed max, which is going to be important for later. If I'm him, I'm doing something like Grass Knot, Volt Switch, Plasma Fist physical only. Yeah, maybe like Thunderbolt. And I don't know, some other move. Focus Blast, who knows? Maybe Toxic. And I would do something like, it could be Calm Mind. Yeah, could be Calm Mind. I'm doing something like Choice Scarf, Magnet, Heavy Duty Boots, just something so that this thing can get in and get a bunch of hits. 423 is a hard speed tier for me to meet. Swampert in the Rain gets to it, but there's reasons that I might not wind up doing Swampert in the Rain this week, mainly Slowbro. Other things that I'm threatened by, Celesteela, could be Meteor Beam set, could be bulky Leech Seed sort of idea. Mega Gyarados, DD Sweeper, Zora puts on some pressure, specs, whatever. Tinglu, Bramble, Hazard Stack. And then some of the random walls that I'm just going to have to break through are Florgus, Smuck, Grandpa, Scaling, yes. So these are a lot of the things that kind of go into this match are on my mind that my team needs to be able to address. You know, the defensive core of Slowbro, Tinglu, maybe a Muck, and maybe the Florgus, and Celesteela. I'm going to need answers to actually break through those guys so that I don't wind up just beating my head in trying to get through Celesteela that I can't break. Now, I've got a couple ideas going in. So I think that my main breaker in terms of putting on pressure into Tibs' team is I want to run a Choice Scarf, Terrifier, Blaze, Charizard. Reason being, Choice Scarf, it's one of the only things on my team that can actually outspeed Zero Aura. I need to get to 424 to be able to do so, which means I only need 283 total speed. That's doable for Charizard. And the only other thing that I really want to outspeed is Mega Gyarados at +1, which sits at a comfy 287. So just want to make sure with rounding. So 4/3, so that'll round down. And if I'm 288, I'll round up. So what I want for this Charizard is 288 speed, 252 special attack modest, and I'll just throw the rest of the hit points and make sure that I'm not at a divisible by 4 or 2 hit point number for self-rock reasons. Because when I was running calcs for this Charizard, it actually winds up being pretty good into a lot of those walls. So modest, special attacker, Terrifier. I'm not totally sure on the moves that I want yet, but probably going to be something like this. So that I've got the really safe fire move, the fire move nuke, focus blast. I'm not sure what I want to use to hit Mega Gyarados yet. I'm going to run through Charizard's moveset, but this is what I was eyeing as kind of my first, what outspeeds Zero Aura and also puts on pressure to a lot of these walls and also forces out Celesteela sort of ideas. Another thing that maybe I want to keep in mind too, Celesteela has a chance of being like an automatized set, but so 243 times 2, 324. Yeah, I'm not going to get to 324 unless I go timid, which I don't think I'm going to do. So Celesteela, if it's max speed, automatize might outspeed me, but I'll deal with that later. What I want to go through now is just the counts of how much damage Charizard do. So Zero Aura, Terrifier, Overheat, it kills it. I outspeed it, I want to KO it. He could have HP investment, but once I Terrifier, I'm not threatened out by anything necessarily, and I have a chance of killing it if he's the most likely set, which is just fully offensive. Celesteela gets smoked by this thing. Terrifier, Overheat, that does less than I thought, but that's a fully Spadef Celesteela, it still dies to Overheat. So if he's the bulky Leech Seed sort of idea, then I have a check for it. So first I'm going to do Charizard speed 0, nukes 0. Because what I want to be doing here is just going through this list of things that I put up top and making sure that I've actually come up with some answers for them. Tinglu, I ran a calc on this before. It does decent damage, not great. Tinglu this is a fully Spadef Tinglu. Tinglu is super bulky. If he winds up being physical, which into a team with Mega Swampert I think is possible, then Overheat's putting on a lot of pressure. But Tinglu doesn't have any recovery, so I think that that's fine. And what I'm going to put here is Pelipper, Tinglu, switching. Tinglu with Ruination and Earthquake isn't going to be putting any pressure on Pelipper. If he's trying to set up hazards, then I can just defog him. And if he wants me out, that's fine. I can just go back to Pelipper. So I'm going to put this in as a potential maybe to check Tinglu, who Charizard doesn't necessarily address. Slowbro does pretty good. 41 to 49, fully defensive. I think probably into a team with Mega Swampert, you got to run this sort of Slowbro. Probably even Rocky Helmet sort of thing. And 41 to 49 isn't going to force Slowbro out necessarily. And it's maybe not going to be making a lasting impact, but it's at least the sort of thing where if it gets down to I need to get through Slowbro, I can lock into Hurricane, something like that. Fourth move, Slowbro/Pinball. I don't think Charizard gets anything other than Solar Beam for that, but I'll just flag that as, right now I'm doing well into Zero Aura, doing well into Celesteela. Tinglu and Slowbro, I'm chipping, but not doing a ton too. Gyarados. Focus plus 2 shots. I don't really want to have to commit to that if I don't have to. Waterfall kills me back. Mega Gyarados is threatening. I mean, there's no way around it. I'm going to have to really address Mega Gyarados. And I'm going to make some note of this too. Threatened by, especially if I lock into an Overheat and kill something and then wind up at -2 and still locked into it, Mega Gyarados could come in and get a free Dragon Dance. So that's just one of the scenarios that I want to prepare for because my team isn't super bulky. My best physical was Powdon, which is weak to Mega Gyarados, so it's not going to be an answer for it unless I run Pasho Berry, which I don't think that I really want to do. So I'm just going to flag it as an issue and see what I can put in to address it later, because I do really like this Charizard in terms of putting pressure on Zeraora and Celesteela. Zeraora H, yeah, dies to Flamethrower, great. Make sure this is actually level 100. We'll be outspeeding any Zeraora unless it's Scarf, but if it's Scarf, there's nothing I can do to outspeed it, so I'm not really worried about thinking about that too hard. Florges, depending on the set, you know, could be, this is choice specs for some reason, but it could be fully Spadef, and then it's going to take a chunk, but not actually have anything to follow. So kind of one of the notes that I want to put in for Charizard too is partners who switch into recovering walls. Because right now I've got 3 walls, Tinglu, Slowbro, Florges, who Charizard does 40% to, but then I have to switch out because Overheat drops my special attack. So what I'd like to do is have something that can come in and put pressure on them when they go for a recovery move, when they go for a wish sort of angle. Rabelgast, I'm sure this thing does everything, not bulky at all. Champ dies to Overheat, so that's good. Could be bulky, probably isn't. And I've always got Hurricane in the back to deal with it. Champ, yeah, not super bulky, so unless he's running a Assault Vest sort of thing, and that's possible, but I think most likely the Champ set it's going to be something like Flame Orb, Guts, maybe 252 HP. That could be worth checking. So I need to just keep in mind that this might not kill Machamp, because Machamp is going to probably be running 252 hit points, but I can have Hurricane if I want it in that last slot to deal with that. Muck takes a ton. Kind of worst case scenario here, it still takes 40 to 50. Could be Assault Vest, but if it's Assault Vest, max Spadef. I'm not super worried about it. I can probably switch in Swampert if I want to putting it on the team. For right now, what Charizard is looking like it does is it puts a lot of pressure on the things that are weak to it. The things that are more offensive, like Zeraora. And it's not doing a ton to break through the walls, but it's maybe giving me an opportunity to pivot in something that does with them a little bit better. Illumise does everything. Doesn't really matter. Drampa. So Focus Blast will kill Drampa. Drampa probably similarly going to be 252 HP. Drampa is somewhat bulky, not that bulky. I want to make sure I'm not taking too much damage back. I mean, I don't think the Drampa makes the squad. It could be Dragon, Steel, Psychic. If it's Terra Psychic, then it's going to die to Overheat, or at least take a lot. Drampa's got Roost, but it's another one of those. Right now, what I'm looking at for his team is that he's got a bunch of walls. The only one that Charizard really addresses is Celesteela, and the rest of them are not pressured by Charizard, so that's something I'm going to have to build an answer for. So when I was looking at his team, I was looking at the kind of likely moves that Mega Gyarados would run. And I thought, if I just played 25 games of Mega Gyarados for the last mini season. And it really likes the stab moves. If we look at my team, let's just pop over here. For Pelipper, it's probably going to want either Crunch or some sort of coverage move. For Mega Swampert, it's probably going to want Power Whip. For Hippowdon, it's probably going to want Liquidation or Waterfall. And then it's probably going to want Dragon Dance. So moves that it doesn't have is probably not going to be able to squeeze in Iron Head for Ninetales Alola unless it takes away the coverage move for Pelipper. Now, Pelipper is not a great answer because Crunch at +2 does a lot, and I don't do a lot back to it. Faircraft +1 does 2-shot me. But I think it's possible that he sees that I've run Pelipper a lot and just throws on Thunderfang. Why not? I think it's less likely that he brings the coverage move for Ninetales Alola. And Ninetales Alola, takes a hit at least. And kind of the idea that I had for Ninetales Alola is, it's pretty fast. It does decently well into the rest of his team. Freeze Dry, I think, hits everything super effectively or neutrally. So going to less Zero Aura hits it neutrally, Celesteela neutral, Tinglu super effective, Slowbro super effective, Gyarados super effective, neutral, neutral, super effective, neutral, 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 super effective. So Freeze Dry is just a great move to hit a lot of this team. Another idea I had is that Encore is pretty good. It allows me to switch into Tinglu and be able to Encore into spikes and then put some pressure on something. He doesn't have a lot of steel coverage besides Celesteela, which I'm probably not running Bullet Punch. I guess it might, but there's not a ton of steel moves that threaten me. And then I was thinking maybe something like, I keep forgetting that I can't run healing much. Baton Pass, and then some fourth move. And I was thinking of running Choice Scarf on this too. Reason being, with Snowfloat, I think that it switches into Gyarados pretty well. You know, worst case scenario of the moves that I think are likely is taking 36 to 42. I guess that's a full HP, which I'm not going to be running. Let's call it modest Choice Scarf, 252 special attack sort of angle. Freeze Dry, 2 KOs, maybe not. Maybe less for the perfect coverage on everything. Waterfall will do a chunk to me, but if he Dragon Dances, then I can Encore him and switch out something that threatens it. And if he stays in and just hits me with Waterfall at +0, then I probably take 2 because I'm going to wind up dropping my speed and putting some hit points in. And can threaten it out with Freeze Dry, which hits the entire rest of his team at least neutrally. Now, we could go into something like Celesteela. It's not going to take a ton from Freeze Dry, but I'm at least making progress on something. So, and, you know, that gives me the option of going to Charizard, which I guess I need moves for. Let's just go ahead and throw on Focus Blast for the YOLO into Mega Gyarados. Just check if there's anything better. Hidden Powers Banned. Toxic. I mean, he has a lot of walls, but I don't think Tibs is going to build a hazard stack regenerator core kind of like very tight defense. I think that he's going to lean more into his Gyarados, Zero Aura, Machamp sort of angle just because that's how he's played the last couple weeks. So yeah, like the start. Speed is fine. Ninetales. And then Moonblast just to do a little more damage to Tinglu. And to get the 2 KO on Gyarados guaranteed. And then Encore and Baton Pass, because Encore I think is going to really help me. If I switch into Tinglu and it spikes, I can Encore, and then I think I am going to run this Pelipper. Just isn't really defensive. Because then Pelipper can come in on the Encore Tinglu and always get defog off. And then for Pelipper, finish off Swampert. But yeah, I like this as a way to put on pressure into basically everything but Celesteela, which, you know, doesn't really care about these moves. I don't think I've checked this every week. Doesn't care. This is fine. But Charizard, as long as it's not the Meteor Beam set, is going to be able to come in on Celesteela and put a good bit of pressure. Team is looking a little weak to Meteor Beam Celesteela. I want to check if Celesteela gets Giga Drain. It does. So right now, just kind of as a note here, team is Meteor Beam Celesteela. Because what I don't want to happen is he has some set that's like Automata's, Meteor Beam, Giga Drain, or Slash. What am I? Power. Right now, this would sweep me, so I need to make sure that I don't lose to that. EVs here. I want to have speed +1 Mega Gyarados. That's kind of the only threshold I care about, I think. Because that's just a little bit faster than Zero Aura. Yeah, 430. So I want to be 288 speed. Ninetales, can I get to 324? No, so here I've kind of got the option of running Timid and guaranteeing I outspeed Automatize Celesteela, or lower speed, something like, I don't know, it doesn't need to be that high. I think the number was 288. Yeah, 288. And outspeeding basically everything but Automatized Celesteela, even at +1. And, looking at my team, there's really not a lot I can do about Power Automatized Celesteela. Here's my mods. What is going on? Well, I hope I didn't just fuck up the spreadsheet. Brett, will you figure it out? No, Brett's really, he wouldn't yell at me. Dies to Meteor Beam. Dies to Meteor Beam. Dies to Giga Drain. I mean, probably dies to a couple Giga Drains. I don't really threaten Celesteal back. Same situation. I don't threaten it back. Dies to Meteor Beam. Probably dies to +1 Air Slash. I don't think that's especially bulky. 60 special weapons. Yeah, this is even without Meteor Beam. He kills me. Dies to Air Slash. Vanillix. I mean, I'm not threatening it. Snover, Castform. Their meme Pokemon. Charizard. You know what? The more I look at this team, Charizard's got to be 324. It's just I'm way too weak to Meteor Beam Celesteela. Let me make sure that I actually am doing my calcs correct here. 243 times 2, 46. So I want 487 divided by 1.5. Oh, so I even want 325. So 45. So I would be 325, which would put me at 47, which would have to be 325. Okay, that's good because I had this for 4 anyway. Yeah, I mean, the team is just looking way too weak to Celesteela. I don't love losing the offense because there was a lot like the Zero Aura Calc, which is now going to become a role if I'm timid. But it's still a roll in my favor, and I think that that's worth it to not just immediately lose to a pretty common set. Okay, so where were we? 2, modest. I like the pressure that puts on everything. That's a good stealth rock number because I think 316 is yeah. So I can come on stealth rock 5 times. This can come on stealth rock, however many. Pick up Terra. I just like the spell perk because it switches into Tinglu. It switches into Slowbro, but doesn't do a whole lot back. Am I going to get more out of Scald or Hurricane? Or both? Hurricane always gives me a chance with Charizard. I don't really want the rock because he's got water types. I'm relying a lot on Charizard. I don't want Rain to be a huge force. And in fact, I'm kind of debating whether I want Pelipper to be Drizzle at all. If Pelipper's not Drizzle, then I'm kind of free to do more with Swampert and just make it a sweeper. I kind of need to see what Swampert can do in Slowbro, because right now I'm looking a little bit Slowbro weak. I think I've got my answer for Atomize, not Automatize. Autotomize Celesteela. I think I'm probably going to throw Passimian on this team just because he does have a lot of walls, which I'm not really breaking through. And Passimian can do good damage to Slowbro Tinglu with the right move choice, but I don't really know what that's going to look like yet. What do I want? Swamp Protection. So, kind of like the idea of Stealth Rock, Flip Turn. What am I hitting with Liquidation? What is Swampert coming in on? So Swampert comes in on Zero Aura that doesn't have Grass Knot. That's not great. Doesn't come in on Celesteela. Can come in on Tinglu and does threaten it, but it's not too threatening. Not too threatening to Slowbro. What could run Knockoff. Knockoff's pretty good. I don't know that Swampert is that good into this team. Puts pressure on Drampa. It's fine at Illinois. Muck is at least threatened out by the threat of Earthquake. I guess Earthquake is pretty good. I don't want to over prep for Grass Knot Zero Aura, and then he has a Brant. I don't have anything to address his other sets. So I kind of like the idea of going, at least just having this in the back so that I can deal with Zero Aura if I have to. 212 speed. Swampert is different. Yeah, I'm gonna have to redo all my moves. That's fine. So flip, knock, Earthquake. I'm playing Swampert a little bit more passively, just trying to get up rocks, knock off items, and flip turn out so that my Charizard, Ninetales, and whatever I want to do with Passimian get to do a little bit more damage. So 424 divided by 2 is 212. Okay. 212. This lets me outspeed Zero Aura in the rain. Probably want 252 Adamant, 112. How's this looking? So Slowbro gets knocked off. I'm expecting him to have a lot of rain and grass coverage, just because I do have the Powdon, have the Charizard, 252 Adamant, Waterfall, Knockoff, Flip Turn Superpower. Let's see how this comes out. So Earthquake kills Zero, great. Celesteela. In rain will take some damage and then I'll let me get in Charizard. But even if I run like Liquidation or something, that's not really breaking through, especially if he has Giga Drain, because that 2 KOs, but if he's switching in Celesteela, then it's probably... That is tempting. It's so tempting with all these teams to just run Rain Sweeper, Mega Swampert, but I think that's a little bit too obvious. Tinglu, Flip Turn does a ton. That's great. Slowbro, can knock it off. And then if he's not defensive, then I could KO with Earthquake. Gyarados, I doubt there's any chance that it'll power up, but let's see. Because if this is close, okay, it's not even close. Don't have superpower. That'd be an option, but I kind of like Swampert, where Swampert is. Maybe I want to make it a little bit faster so that I always can at least get hidden on Mega Gyarados, which is going to lose its flying type. So maybe let's go up to 216. That's 96. I doubt I now take a 0. It's not, but let's see. Okay, that actually might be kind of close with 96. Okay, so I've got a chance of living a Grass Knot. Can knock off a bunch of items, flip turn on the walls. Zoro H. Okay, that's pretty good. He could be Scarf, but again, nothing I can do about that. Swampert can't get up to 525. This is gonna take a lot from everything. I like being able to pressure Muck just because I haven't talked a lot about Muck, but it does wall these guys pretty well. So having something that can do some damage is going to be good into that. Blue Eyes takes a lot from Flip Turn, and Rain that winds up being even more. And Drampa, nice and slow, takes a lot from Earthquake, can't really switch in. So I like the Swampert. I think that getting rocks up is going to be helpful just to getting Charizard and Ninetales to some of those thresholds. I think, Celesteela taking 12.5% every time it comes in is not too bad. Depending on set, and it's going to help things like the 20% it takes from Ninetales. I know, but I still don't have great switch-ins to it. Really, right now, my best answer to Celesteela is if he's Meteor Beam, revenge it with Charizard, which is fine. He might not know I'm Scarf. He might think that he has an easy kill, especially if he hasn't popped the power. And if he's not Meteor Beam, on current Ninetales, slow U-turn into Charizard on Pelipper sort of angle. So I think that I'm looking okay into that. And then the rest of the team. So I got to figure out what I want for the rest of the team now. I think that I still am a little bit weak at dealing with his walls. I think that I've got a couple answers for Zero Aura. Scarf Ninetales can hit it. It'll take 2 Blaze Kicks with the Snow Boost. Probably 2 KOs with Moonblast. I can Encore a Calm Mind Angle. Yeah, 2 KOs with Moonblast most of the time. Celesteela, I've got the Charizard, and I've got the Swampert. Celesteela, I'm still a little weakened to. Tinglu, I mean, Tinglu's taking a lot of pressure from basically every one of these guys. Slowbro, I'm a little weak to. Mega Gyarados, pretty weak too. Although Ninetales helps. Zoroark, I'm going to try not to think too hard about Zoroark. It's killed by Swampert and Charizard and Ninetales. Florges. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of these Pokemon that I'm going to try not to think too hard about and just deal with them if they come up and really address the main threats. Because I think the most likely way I lose here isn't that I, don't prepare for Curse Muck. It's that one of his really obvious threats puts on a lot of pressure on my team that has levels. And if I do end up losing to Curse Muck, I mean, that's just something I'm going to have to deal with. I'm building with kind of a bad team. So I'm going to do what I can and just try to create a couple threats that he's not prepared for, like Double Scarf and Zard and Ninetales. And so when I looked at Celesteela, it was pretty slow. Yeah, Celesteela is only 61 base speed. One thing that I was thinking about going to this match is just going full offense here. Choice Band Pessimine. Because I think it actually matches up pretty well into a lot of his team. So moves that's probably going to have close combat, U-turn, knockoff. Adamant Choice Band is a bit sketchy because of Mega Gyarados, which I speaks this, but I think I can EV it to live a hit from base Gyarados and kill it. But at outspeed Celesteela, Tinglu, Slowbro, Florges, Machamp, Muck, and Drampa. And I think Choice Band might be able to, let's just get into the Muck and just see how this goes. I think that this sort of set can get a kill each time it comes in if I get it in cleanly. And as long as I have enough pivots, which I don't really have, but we'll figure that out. I think that let's look at these calcs and see how I'm doing. Choice Band, Defiant. Is there anything that's actually going to prep Defiant? Intimidate from Gyarados can proc Defiant. Another option is I could do something like a bulk up Trailblaze sort of set. So I'm going to see how these calcs look and maybe build this thing to be a sweeper. Because after Trailblaze it would outspeed Zero Aura. Maybe that's an angle too. I'll think about that a little bit. But Celesteela, Choice Band, 2 KOs it. Dive back to Air Slash. So I'm not breaking through Celesteela. This is making me actually win more of a Trailblaze angle. Tinglu dies to a banded close combat, but that would mean that it probably dies to Trailblaze in close combat. It's gonna at least be close. So if I get a +1 on this thing, Trailblaze it, that's gonna look really nice. Slowbro kind of walls me. Dark has to knock off. Forget that Dark is super effective on Zoroark. So that's kind of nice. If I get a Trailblaze, I can kill Zoroark. Close combat kills this thing from base, and I take a waterfall pretty well. Brambleghast dies to a knockoff from 0. Yeah, I'm kind of liking the idea of just doing this thing as a kind of pseudo bulky leftovers bulk up mon, because I've got I'm still kind of weak to Slowbro though, so as I'm looking at this a little bit more, I think that this could work. I think that giving myself an option to have something snowball is going to go pretty far. And I think I like the ability of having a chance to bulk up on something like a Ting Lu. But I need to think about whether I'm actually going to bulk up opportunities. So if he brings Drampa, for example, and he's Terra Steel, and I come in with this, and he switches out and bulk up, can I win the game from there? Can take a hit from Zera Aura and Trailblaze on it. You know, I'm kind of liking the way this looks. I think that puts a little bit of pressure on bulky Celesteela, because close combat, this thing is going to be doing, I don't know, 40, 50%. I think that's pretty good into something that doesn't really have any recovery. If he's bulky, then going to wind up having some HP. Well, no, I'm probably not going to have any HP, but I at least live in Air Slash and can hit it again. If I'm +1, you know, I can knock off into close combat, and that's looking decent. So I like this idea. I think that just having something that could put on pressure, can come in on Bramblegast and click knockoff, can come in on a Machamp and or come in on a Drampa sort of angle. I think it's decently bulky so that, you know, I'm not too worried about +1 Gyarados. I can at least revenge kill it. So I kind of like this idea. Leftovers, that's probably the best I'm going to be able to do. I kind of need almost max speed because if I'm 283, okay, so I can be 283 speed. The rest I'm just going to put into special defense for that Celesteela Air Slash. If I'm 282, I think that, yeah, that's speed times 0, which I don't want. I like just having this thing that's like bulky enough to take a hit and maybe kill something back. And if the stars align, I have an opportunity to bulk up. And something that I'm still really weak into is Slowbro, so that makes me just want to throw Delmize on here. Because I'm still a little bit worried. I think that I have enough here to sort of address the offensive threats. I need to figure out what I'm actually doing with Pelipper, but I think Ninetales, Charizard, Swampert deal well with Zeraora, Celesteela, Mega Gyarados. But I think I'm still pretty weak into Slowbro. And I think Delmice is pretty good in Slowbro. So what I want is a Delmice that can come in and just start attacking this thing. So if Delmice comes in and it throws out a grass move, Celesteela is a pretty obvious switch in, especially if it's defensive Celesteela. If I've got rocks up, then I think that I'll do all right into that. But I think that I do need a grass move on this guy. 131 attack, it's got to be power up. I mean, even if Slowbro. Okay. I just want to see how this thing does in Slowbro. So a fully defensive Slowbro is 2 KO'd by a no offense Delmize. Just want to run kind of if I wanted to kind of counter Delmize him. Giga Drain does do a good bit, so I could run a special Delmize, but I don't know that that's really the play because I don't think it puts enough pressure on. Well, Sludge Wave does hit Florius. Let me think about this. Do I have anything that hits Celesteela? Fire moves? No. Electric moves? No. Poltergeist. So, because I could run a sort of Delmize here that just tries to get in, Swords Dance, kill one of his walls. The benefit of this sort of thing is they could open up Charizard, Swampert, Pessimian, and Swamp, and Ninetales to do some damage. This might be a game of trades. You know, I try to get in guys who will do enough damage to his team. Let me run my best case scenario sort of counts here. I get the free Swords Dance. He switches out. You know, what am I doing to what? How's this looking? Zeraora dies to a Poltergeist. +1. I live a knockoff, but it's close. Celesteela almost dies to a Poltergeist. Dies after rocks. So that's Kind of nice. Puts more pressure on Celesteela. I mean, I'd take a lot from Air Slash. You know, I don't love that. Ping Lu. Dies to Power Whip. It's pretty slow, so I can maybe speed creep it. Slowbro dies to +2 Power Whip. Gyarados kills me with Crunch, so I don't love that. I might throw Dark Berry on this thing, but dies to Power Whip. Let's get Trick Room. Oh. Of course not. But I'm probably switching in Ninetales into Gyarados anyway to try to Encore it. And I can go past him and throw in the 1KO. Zoroark doesn't kill me with Shadow Ball, but it's not close. Power Whip kills it back. I think that I'm going to go maybe a little bit crazy with this thing. And turn it into a boosting sweeper as well. The more that I look at Tibs' team, I think the more that I need to just try to kill things quicker than he's killing me with them. Because I think that if I'm thinking that I'm going to win this Outlast game with my defensive core versus his Pokemon is better. So I think catching him with maybe a Rapid Spin Delmise that can outspeed, I don't know, let's call it a Mega Gyarados if I get a spin off. Can I ever get up to that? 192. That's going to be close. So if I Rapid Spin with this thing, it outspeeds Mega Gyarados and can kill it with Power Whip. Poltergeist, 2KO, Celesteela. I mean, I'm not adamant, but I'm pretty close. You know, I'm almost max attack. Call it Jolly. You know, Poltergeist at base is doing 40 to 47. If I Rapid Spin, I would see if he has leftovers. I can Swords Dance. This guy's set. Ting Lu. Really pressured out by Power Whip. Slowbro, really pressured out by Power Whip. I think what I like about this is that it pressures a lot of his Pokemon to switch out. Gyarados does one-shot me, but you know, Delmas is not going to be able to take on a Queen Gyarados. It's going to have to Rapid Spin and then Power Whip. Do I have any other moves that are going to be better than Power Whip? Nope, not really. Zoroark, I'm sure dies to Power Whip. This thing's got Paper Defense. Glorious. Okay, you know, I'm kind of liking the way this. I'm liking the way this looks. Bramblegast. I'm not going to be able to spin on this thing, and it's going to be able to kill me back. So I do need to be a little bit careful about Bramblegast. It's probably I have to switch into Ninetales sort of angle. But you know, I think that I put enough pressure on Bramblegast with some of my other guys that I'm not too worried about that. I don't think Bramblegast is likely include. You know, Machamp. If I get a Rapid Spin and Power Up off, if I get a +2, then could do work into that too. Muck, you know, he's offensive, killing this +2. You know, I'm kind of liking the way this looks. I'm a little bit walled by Drampa because Power Up's not going to do anything. Could be Sap Sip or even Poltergeist isn't going to do anything. But he could change his type, and then Poltergeist would wind up hitting him. And I think I have enough to pressure Drampa. Anyway, yeah, so I kind of found this out of nowhere, but I'm liking the way it looks. I think I like it especially because at this speed, I'm going to outspeed all of his walls, you know, no matter. I think his fastest wall is Florges. And if he's running a bulky Florges, it's not going to have 192. And I think that I put enough pressure on Zeraora with the rest of my team that I don't need to, you know, specifically beat Zeraora. I think I'm going to be pressuring it. And I think this gives me an option of Rapid Spinning and Swords Dancing and winning. That kind of seems a bit more likely to me than whatever Simeon was here to do. I think that given that um, Delmise and Simeon are kind of overlapping here, I think that I might actually just make this team a triple scarf team. Yeah, reason being, so 23 times 1.5, that could zero. So ridiculous. I think that just being able to pivot into Terrifier, Overheat Charizard, Ninetales, Swampert, or the Stelmines, which with the right conditions, it seems like it can snowball pretty quickly. If I get a rapid spin, kill something, Swords Dance, I think that just having a bunch of Scarf guys, Swampert who can maybe set rocks and maybe just act as another bulky pivot. I think that this is going to do well for me. This team looks ridiculous. Wide Lens could be another item. Ghost, whatever boosting item could help get a 2-shot or 1-shot in Celesteela, but I think that if I'm going to rely on this thing to maybe break through, I'm going to actually need it to hit its moves, so Wide Lens seems better. I'm going to be throwing out a lot of grass moves into Tinglu, Slowbro, and Mega Gyarados. Pelipper, comes in on Mega Gyarados. All right. Do I want Scald? Scald's good in Zeraora and Celesteela. It's going to Tinglu. Not good in Slowbro, but I can U-turn on Slowbro and go to something a bit better. It's fine in Zeraora, fine in Mega Gyarados because I can burn it, and then U-turn. It's fine in Forgus. Oh, snap. I think it's fine because at the end of the day, I want to be able to put as much pressure on Celesteela as possible and maybe catch a stray burn on something. Pelipper is not going to be doing the heavy work this match. It's going to be probably Charizard and Delmise. All right, well, I'm running Triple Scarf. My team's really slow, and I'm going to rely on a 40 base speed Mon to sweep. I think that I've got enough weird things on this team to catch Tibs off guard. I think that it's going to be really obvious what he is going to want to run. It's going to want Celesteela. It's going to want Mega Gyarados. It's going to want Zeraora. It's going to want Slowbro. I think that I've built for those things the best that I can by speed creeping with Charizard, by throwing grass moves and dark moves onto everything, and moves that can hit Slowbro. I think there's a chance he runs something random with a Brown Gas from a Champer Muck, and I think that my team just doesn't have the space to be able to really prepare for that. I love this matchup, but I think that I've got a lot of stuff here that could go well, so I'm hoping that I win this weekend, solidifying this 3-2 record. And we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good weekend, and we'll see if I can pull this one out with the Triple Choice Scarf team.